Alright, I think everything's working again. Oh, I should probably turn the music down a little bit more, maybe? Let me figure this out. It's hard. I should make this full screen. That might make it easier. I'll make it bigger. Hi!
Hello, everybody.
Claxy, I'm so happy that you're so excited. And also, happy birthday! I hope it's been a very good one. Let me turn on my beautiful picture of my girl while we figure out what's happening, because it's been great. Oh, that's awesome. Hi, following. I see you two here. You two here. Flares. God damn it. You here too, Flares. So we were thinking before we started, we're gonna need to, like, possibly ramp up to continuing the campaign summary, because both of us are very tired after today's studying for some weird reason. But we still wanted to do the D&D stream, obviously, because we promised. So what we kind of thought we might do instead is just literally make it an AMA where you guys can ask questions or request stories from us, and that way we can still tell campaign stories and just not be tied into a specific order, which I suppose we could have done anyways while we were writing in retrospect, but so maybe this was stupid. But I've done a lot of typing today. Thank you, essays. So, I mean, we didn't really come with anything prepared now at this point. We just kind of were laying in bed until we realized that it was time to get up and stream. We're the worst, basically, is what I'm saying. Hi, DeadSec, how are you? So basically, if you have questions about D&D, or you want to request generic stories about D&D, or specific stories if you're in my Discord and have heard me scream about D&D, you could do that. Just chillin'. That's cool. So are we. Yeah, we didn't plan this out at all. Why are you even here? Essays are something awful. That's true.
Yep.
We did not have fun today, but it's okay. We finished everything. Could reminisce the big one, which is the big one. I do have one. You gotta find it. Oh, good luck. I scream a lot. Is the big one, what is the big one? Is that the vampire fight, or is that's the vampire fight? That is the big one, I suppose. Which, honestly, would probably be what we might get to today if we actually did it, but there would be some stuff we'd have to finish beforehand.
Right. I mean,
so,
what we could do
we could just tell it.
Skip right to there.
We could, but then I'm gonna have to move all my shit.
If you want to start with just telling it, we could do that. We could also...
Everyone wants to know about the vampires. Should I actually pull up the doc and type it? Are we gonna want to tell this story again at some point?
We can tell the story, and we can also always
banging
tell
a vampire.
Again.
Oh, well, that happens all the time.
Yes.
That and seducing the wizard. That was a process, okay? That was a long process. I don't know how much is that his first one?
So what we could do...
I don't know how much he has about it, actually, because that was when he was still Tom,
right.
and he doesn't have nearly as good of notes.
Right.
I can get the doc, I'm just gonna have to move the mic over here, which is fine.
Let's see. There's a little bit.
Yeah, that's basically the page of stuff.
Here's what he's got. We fought a vampire lord, Rio, and lost. We burned down his building and ran away. Notice
how he left off the fact that it was entirely his fault.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, the problem is that it was entirely his fault, and so now we're never gonna get the objective, because that means one of us is gonna have to remember, which you might actually remember what you did to us. How exactly you screwed us.
Right.
Well, actually, we also have my rantings in the Discord, come to think of it. Which I don't know I ever told you about. We burnt it down. There's a bit more complexity there. Yeah, there is.
It burned.
It did burn.
Yeah, it's gone now.
I would say we does not encompass everyone in the party. Not everyone was responsible for the burning it down. Some of us were unconscious. That would be me. Burn paper. That was basically what we said. Basically. We might want practice telling this one, actually, before we write it, because this was a very complex
complex one with a lot of emotions attached to it. So I'm down to start with
I think we should just tell it. We should tell it so that way we can practice, because also we would have to do all of the Flame Spear lead up.
Yes.
Which we did some stuff before we went to go talk to Rio.
Unrelated anecdote. It's funny where he has just as much on the next part, which I completely forgot happened.
The second vampire fight?
No, I remember that.
Oh.
It was he traded his Tome of Understanding to Mumford in exchange for Mumford's self-help book. It was The Purpose-Driven Afterlife. What was I reanimated for?
I do not remember that at all.
I don't know whether Joe, who's Mumford's player, came up with that title on the spot, or whether I did.
I think you must have.
But I love the fact that he wrote that down.
You don't know anything about D&D? Don't worry, you don't need to. Because we are not, unless someone asks us a specific question about, like, mechanics or something, we're just telling a story. This was an RPG that has dice.
Yeah. I might, jump in with a little bit of mechanics once in a while.
So if you don't understand something, yell at me and we will explain it. Yeah. So I think that would probably be good, because honestly, if we were going to write this, I would want to write all the Flame Spear stuff first, because it kind of does matter what we did before then.
Yes. So I think we can start with them
bullshit.
being in a new city.
New city. We'd never been here.
I've never been here.
It was awesome.
They're on tentative terms with the ruler here.
For those of you we did do the goblin fight last time. So for those of you who have listened to the last stream or were there, did we actually write that he had taken over Flame Spear? I think
that's something you guys figure out.
Really? I thought we knew that before.
No, that's why you go, kind of.
Oh. The blue goblin that we ran into at the Goblin King's camp, we found out took over a city, which was like, I'm trying to think of like a real world term, like a sister city to Sunspire.
It was, a smaller subordinate city.
Yeah, subordinate
city.
Think
like, parties from LA, and if someone went and invaded Orange County, somebody would be upset about it.
Okay, I don't know if that's really a good comparison.
It's very nearby, and almost might as well be part of it.
But wasn't Flame Spear, like, pretty much directly affiliated with Sunspire, as in they paid them taxes and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
We're talking, like, medieval, not serfdom, but, like,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
City, you've got a kingdom, and then you've got a smaller...
Was Tom actually instructed to go and look at it? Is that what happened?
He looked into, like, do you want me to go look into this? And they say, don't escalate.
I live in Orange County, Claxy. It's fine. We had an officer, like, he was an officer in the army of Sunspire, the big city.
The big city.
And so he, again, makes all of the decisions for the party.
Right. He went and he talked to his superior officer. The king of the city was very much wanting to wait and see what this person's plan was. Obviously, he had taken over a city, but if the guy still wanted to be subordinate to him,
then it was cool. Like, whatever,
who cares?
That.
Sure, whatever, who cares? If you're gonna
But I think there was already some tension.
There was already some tension because they had sent a notice to him of, hey, we still own that city. What are you doing? And they hadn't responded. So it was you guys wanted to go.
When did Odysseus go in?
Odysseus acted on his own accord and wanted to go assassinate
I'm pretty sure
him.
it was before that, because that was my motivation for going.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we already knew that was the thing.
I think you heard that Odysseus had gone for a big contract and wasn't.
And I was like, obviously I need to go.
So what actually happened was Odysseus headed south, as well as the quartermaster notified Tom that
Odysseus is, I've decided, my rival in the Thieves Guild. I hated him. He was a dick.
Odysseus is one of the sons of the king, one of the princes, who, because he's a prince, got to essentially say, I get to be one of the heads of the Thieves Guild Council. And,
I hated him. He was the absolute worst. I don't think I ever spoke to him, but
God,
I hated him.
He was an assassin, as well as a black dragon who preferred to stay in humanoid form most of the time. And so he went south. You hadn't heard from him since as well.
Yeah, I think I found that out on my own. And I was like, I should probably go check on him, but only to laugh at him if something did happen.
Tom was notified when we went to talk of like, oh yeah, Odysseus went to assassinate him and got caught. That was something that you learned right before you left.
Pussy shit.
So now he's in jail. Don't escalate the situation. We don't want a war. Worst case scenario would be a war. If you're gonna go, don't fuck anything up. Those were your orders.
Those were our orders. Don't fuck anything up. I want you to remember that because it will be extremely relevant later.
And if you can, collect a few guns.
They had guns.
They are the only city at this point in time in the campaign to have started developing firearms.
It was awesome.
So you guys head south of the Flame Spear. You kill the Hydra because you were bored.
I literally don't remember that at all, but continue.
And then you got to the city. They've got a lot of motorized vehicles in prototype stages. A lot of goblin tech. A lot of it's, yes, very much a Homer Simpson.
Bunch of stuff we'd never seen before. Tiffany had definitely joined the party by this point as well.
Yes, and you were looking around, and it was clearly the police here are heavily mobile and heavily armed, and very capable of doing damage. So you guys were just like, all right, play it cool. You got in. The party owned a bar at this point, and you're like, hey, so let's look around and look for stuff. You currently
look for stuff.
You already had
we already had the contract with
a dealing
Brando.
With
that's
Brando.
The thing.
So you went to. I think the first thing you did is you went and talked to Makaklica about the situation.
We did go do that. Because we fully thought about killing him,
right.
And then we didn't.
On your way there, you saw a dragon currently being essentially half strangled by a statue.
It was awesome. I fully didn't help him. It was great.
It was very much like a thief on a cross type moment in the city square, where this would-be assassin and all of his lackeys were all being held up by statues.
For the record, I thought about helping him, and then I decided not to because
there's a bunch of guards everywhere and the crowd around them was huge.
Yeah, I thought about it. Thief in the shackles? Yeah, basically, that was what it was.
Yes. So the party essentially went and looked at that. There's a big old announcement about these people are no longer going to be, endangering the citizens, but they will be thrown in jail.
So we were like, cool, guess we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, you're like, alright, that's worrisome, but we'll continue.
Well, Tom was worried. I absolutely wasn't.
You then went to talk to Makaklica, who's the name of the Blue Goblin. And you got to his compound and just saw there was a ton of Blue Goblin mages running around.
Yes. Right.
And you went to talk to him, and you noticed that none of them, unless they were clearly female, you couldn't tell any of them apart. The genetic variability was almost
I forgot about that too.
And a lot of them were wearing these magical necklaces inside the compound as they looked around. So you went to meet up with one, and one of them just identified themselves as Makaklica, and you went and sat down with him. He was wearing his world robe.
Yeah, it was awesome. He was really cool. We loved him.
And then you had a big old meeting with him. Essentially, it was like, are you gonna be subservient to Sunspire? And he was like, no, not really.
And we were like, fair.
Yeah, it's like, fair. Tom wasn't happy.
No, but I was like, we can't, remember our one order.
Yes.
Was don't fuck anything up.
You weren't really in a position to bargain, because you had nothing to bring to the table. He was like, yeah, I've got an incredibly mobile and powerful military. I think that I'm enough of a threat where war would be more costly if you were going to attack.
And we were like, yeah, honestly, probably true. So, whatever. You were fully ready for us to fight him.
Yes, I was fully ready for them to fight him. I had a whole boss encounter planned out.
And we did not.
Well, because if you attacked this guy at this moment, nothing would have happened. Because at the end of the conversation, you saw the necklace glow very brightly for a moment. And then the goblin sort of fell unconscious. And then when he woke up, he was just like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jim. I'm one of Makaklica's kids.
Who is Jim?
And it was revealed that Makaklica, due to his genetic lineage, has the ability to possess his children temporarily through these magical necklaces. Makaklica was a genie patron warlock, mechanically, and I was essentially treating him as boss level, can give out so many of these amulet pact items that allow him to possess any one of his children. Normally a player can't do that, obviously you're limited to one amulet. I was letting him do it to all of his children because he's a boss.
That's fair.
So From there, the party's like, cool. We think he's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, we were like, we don't want to... He
gave you free reign in the city.
The new party member made friends with him immediately.
Yes, the new party member, Tiffany, who's the wild magic sorcerer and, like, college party girl, immediately thought he was adorable, and all of his kids were super cute, and they just have a right to do whatever they want. And
we were like...
Tom was pissed, but...
Yeah, and I was the middle ground, and the clerics, I don't think, cared either way.
Yeah, I think the clerics didn't really
give a shit. And I was like, we were expressly told not to mess anything up here, and it's fine. We'll leave it. We'll let Sunspire figure it out.
Soleil made the very wise decision, almost out of character how wise it was. No, I'm kidding. It was an incredibly wise decision just to not kick the pot. Like, it was, you were ordered not to do anything, so you said, let's not.
It wasn't my contract.
Yeah,
I didn't accept the contract yet.
You could come back and murder him later, if that's what the contract was for. You then...
Odysseus took the contract, and look what happened to him. So I was waiting for him to hopefully die and the contract to be put back up, and then maybe I'd do it.
Right.
But otherwise, there's no chance I was going to get paid for this.
So now you had a couple leads in the city. You wanted to go find some firearms.
Which we did.
And you wanted to... Well, actually, you kind of did.
We kind of did.
You wanted to go find some firearms. One of the clerics wanted to get a blunderbuss and a motorcycle. Sadly, couldn't do either thing before you guys were
before shit went down.
Yeah, genetic possession is like a very common trope that I also make use of in a lot of my campaigns, just because I think it's cool. I totally buy that it's something that happens a lot in
other things.
Yeah. I think on TV tropes it has its own full page. So
that doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't shock me. It's fun. Would recommend.
Oh wow.
So they had dealt with the political stuff, but you had to collect items and also go look into these kidnapped children.
Yes, which two of our party members were very invested in.
Yes, the cleric and
the blood hunter.
The blood hunter both wanted to rescue these orphans that were kidnapped by a group of vampires.
The best part was that they joined the campaign at the same time,
wrote
their backstories completely separately.
They both independently became Nacho Libre.
And then came together and realized they both had the same backstory,
right,
and it was awesome.
They decided that together they would be Nacho Libre for the same group of orphans. They both wanted to be.
I thought they were different groups. You made them the same group.
I made them the same group of orphans. It was just easier.
It was just easier, but it was. Did they do the? Honestly, they may as well have done. Like.
It very much was like SpongeBob and Patrick going to do the same.
It really
festival.
was.
It was very much like.
But so they had a lead here.
Yeah, they had a lead.
Well.
They knew that these were the vampires that kidnapped the children, but they also knew that the children weren't here. So they wanted to figure out where the children had gone. So you decided that took priority over, like, item collection.
That I disagreed.
Yeah, so I disagree with that. You went
I do remember vehemently disagreeing with that.
Right. So the logical thing to do was, hey, we have a business contract with Brando Brandy Company, which is the vampire brandy industry. So let's just go to their headquarters and say we want to have a meeting with one of the bosses. And in that circumstance, we'd be able to, find out more about where these orphans went, probably in like a, subsidiary conversation. There's some planning about like, oh, maybe we'd like offer to buy orphans. And be like, oh, hey, you got any orphans? And they'd be like, no. It's like, cool. Do you sell them? Oh, yeah, we sold them to X person.
Do you sell orphans?
It wasn't a great plan, but the idea was there. So that was good. You went to the Brando Brandy Company.
I fully knew how stupid this plan was, and I said nothing. I don't think I even went in.
You didn't go in. You stood.
I was like, this plan is stupid. You all are gonna die, and they did it anyway. So I stayed outside.
Yeah, they saw a few of the low-level vampires walking around in their business outfits, but most of the people there weren't vampires. So they talked to the front desk attendant. She said, "Oh yeah, I can definitely set up a meeting for you. It'll probably be in about a week." And they're like, "Oh, is the boss here right now?" I was like, "No, he's currently doing a checkup on one of the factories." It's like, "Oh. Would it be, uncouth of us to go talk to him during that?" And she was like, and they made a persuasion check, and it was very good, because I think Tiffany was helping.
Yeah, I think she helped.
Very good at persuasion. And she was like, well, I guess not, because you already have a contract and you've got a meeting, so you could just go and say hi. That would be fine, right? She's not very good at her job.
No, she probably got fired.
Definitely got fired. Probably died.
She probably died.
Probably got turned into a vampire. Anyways, she gave you the address of this factory, which is, whiskey distillery in the business district. You've got a bot.
A bot.
Congratulations.
Get out of here.
You're big enough to have bots spamming you.
I will hit the button. There we go.
Perfect.
Continue. Thank you.
After that, you went to the distillery. You saw a whole bunch of burly men doing some, working, doing some distilling,
The
talked to some of them. They seemed
bot.
very dangerous and didn't want to let you in. They seemed like mobster thugs. So you're like, cool, we're just gonna talk our way through this. And you talked your way past all of them, said you had instructions, showed them the contract, and they're like, fine, I guess, we're gonna watch you. Went upstairs, and the way this was set out was very much not up to fire code. I described it a whole bunch. It was a big warehouse full of huge distillery things kind of just out in the open. There wasn't a whole lot of protection of them. They were just bubbling and doing their job. Big old warehouse doors, almost like an air, I described it kind of like an airport, like an air hangar.
This will also be relevant
planes.
for later.
Yeah, so it's big and wide. It's a very large building. And they go up these steel sets of spiral staircases to get up to gangplanks. And there is a misted glass sort of box, kind of like a football box or a hockey box above a stadium. They knock on the door.
This is the moment.
And they're let in. And this is the big moment where
no, it's not yet. Let it play out.
Yeah. So they open up the door.
I need everyone to know how my anger and fury in the Discord was completely justified.
Right. And they're invited in, and there are 4 of these Mr. Anderson, Agent Smith looking motherfuckers, who is the signature look of this company's vampire. Standard vampire, not like a spawn. These guys are ready to fuck your shit up. On top of that, hockey box is essentially just a glass box that's built into the ceiling. And there's stairways to get up to
the bottom was it metal? Was it a metal floor or was it?
It was a metal floor. Yes. To get up there.
Just hanging air.
Like a hanging box. If you've seen 22 Jump Street, it's Ice Cube's office. So you go up there. There's a big old business table and a bunch of they're all drinking whiskey together. And they all turn to look at you, and in the big ol' easy chair is clearly a vampire lord. Looks incredibly jacked. I'm pretty sure Tom the Fighter at this point had the Battlemaster ability to assess a target.
He did.
And he was able to tell that this guy was immensely stronger than him, physically. I think statistics-wise, I think he had a 28 strength score. So this guy was jacked as fuck. And if anyone's seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or any memes, it's just Dio Brando. The character, I changed a letter in the name. Very basic plagiarism. But conveniently, none of my party had seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so it was fine. And they sort of just demanded to know where the orphans were immediately.
I would like to say that not all of us demanded. Some of us sat at the table and said nothing.
Yes, it was not Von Karma. Very much more the sensual, alright, let's see how this is gonna go. Clearly very hot. Mixed Strahd with a professional wrestler.
Yeah, basically.
And so they get in, they pretty much immediately demand where the orphans are. There's also some mixed signals, because they're oh, we have a contract with you. Where are the orphans?
Yeah, there was a lot going on. And I'm just sitting there at table with my head in my hands.
Right.
Going and I was sitting next to you and I'm I'm not taking part in this at all. I am just staying away.
The rest of the vampires are kind of sitting there unsure what the fuck is about to happen.
Neither was I.
I'm pretty sure they all stand up and sort of just move to the sides of the room because he invited you to sit down with him.
Yeah, no, I sat.
So,
I was like, I'm not gonna provoke any animosity here because that would be idiotic.
Okay, please sit. And, so they stand up and just stand like, Secret Service agents. As the party all sat down, except for Tom.
Tom did not, because Tom is a dumbass.
Tom paced in the back of the room. He was upset.
He was very upset that he found someone stronger than him.
Yes. For more context, Tom is, at this point, been resurrected by the god of death, who hates all sorts of undead, especially intelligent undead, when they're doing evil shit.
Which includes vampires.
That super includes vampires as one of the number one offenders. Tom has a whole bunch of abilities that are tied to his new race that allow him to kill vampires. Very good. He just has to slap them. So he's sitting there like, okay, I'm angry, because this guy is, what counts as evil for death? Pretty much just anybody he doesn't agree with.
That's fair.
A lot more of a gray area when it comes to death. Who he doesn't like. He likes some undead. But, so he wants to kill this guy. And the rest of the party's like, cool, we just have to figure out where the orphans are. Somehow...
And I'm just like, we could just leave.
Right. Somehow at this point, the party actually did convince him to tell you where the orphans were.
That I don't remember. I think that might have also been Tiffany. Because the only other person that could have done it is me, and I am not... in getting involved.
Yes, Tiffany was definitely taking point.
Tiffany was
with the
running
good
point on
charisma
this.
rolls. I think she might have rolled like insanely high.
I think she did.
And he's just tenting his fingers, just sure, okay, yes, I did have some orphans. I didn't kidnap them, and they like inside checked, and that was 100% true. Turned out his father had kidnapped them. He was just a guy who was here to run the company while his father was off doing other evil shit. Father also a vampire lord. So he was like, yeah, so I sold the orphans to Whitehaven, which is a city up to the north. Party all knows Whitehaven. They're like, we hate Whitehaven. So they're like, cool.
I don't think we hated well, oh yeah, we did know about all of the Aoife shit at that point. So yes, we did hate Whitehaven.
Yes, you didn't know Aoife was directly tied to Whitehaven yet. You knew that she was from the north.
Yeah, so we were like, I hate that.
So you're like, cool. It may or may not have something to do with that very vague lead you have at that point, but everyone immediately was like, it's definitely that.
We knew.
And I was like,
we're like, it has to be relevant.
That's true. It was.
It was, as it turns out.
As it turns out, it was very relevant. So he's like, yeah, I sold those orphans. I don't have any anymore, though. And everyone's like, cool. Twitch, at that point, I believe, wanted to murder him and made that, like, open and obvious.
Somebody did.
He was very stupid. I think his intelligence score is incredibly low.
Yes.
Because he was playing a kobold murder hobo for good. So he was like, can we just kill everybody? Like, I think he just openly said that to everyone. And I'm like, cool, you didn't, like, whisper that.
Yeah, I know, so I think you were like, did you say that out loud? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, you did not.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, that's funny.
Probably.
Is it, Homer Simpson's got, like, idiot savant energy. So
Twitch was just an idiot.
He was a savant.
He was a savant in drugs.
So I'd say equivalent to Homer Simpson. I think he had like a 7 in intelligence.
That's terrible.
So
did I say that? I think that I think that many times at table, but
just both.
I'm trying to remember what exactly happened.
At this point, he's like, "Cool, I'm not going to kill all of you because that would be boring for me. Instead." And I think he points to either you, I think he pointed to you.
It was me. It was absolutely me. I was just trying to remember if I was first.
Yeah, he pointed to Soleil and Twitch, and he was like, both of you just kill each other for my amusement.
And he succeeded, where I did not.
So, you didn't actually start, though.
No, for some... Oh, I know what it was.
He charmed
He charmed me, yes, and was like... I'll give you 5,000 gold to kill that. And I was like, you didn't even have to charm me.
Yeah, before even charming either of you, I think it was like, both of you just kill each other for my amusement, and I'll let the winner and everyone else walk out of here alive.
I was like, and Twitch was like, I can't do that. And I was like, I maybe could.
Right, I think he even went so far as to say, I'll let you even keep the corpse.
Yeah, that was, and he took that good crossbow from me.
Yes.
So I was already mad.
So he was being very reasonable, especially considering there was a cleric in the party who had Revivify. Like, if you wanted to get out of here without provoking combat, you very much could. Still.
I think he said no, and I
so just like absolutely.
And I didn't say anything.
You didn't say anything. So he turns to you and he uses his vampire charm ability, which lets him do, some mind control. He's like, I will give you 5,000 gold, which is 5 times the standard assassination contract. Rather reasonable to kill an adventurer. To kill him right now.
And I was like, awesome.
Deal still applied. So then Soleil drew her weapon.
I had to.
At this point, I think is when Tom jumped in.
Tom jumped in at that point.
Tom jumped in and was like, alright, I want to fight you.
And I was like, oh,
and
God.
And he did like a little monologue about how vampires are evil, and I, don't stand for what you're doing, and I'm gonna kill you. And then I have everyone roll initiative. And that's when stuff went bad real fast. I think Tom actually used a surprise round to run up and maybe kill one of his vampires.
I think that is true.
Because I don't think he actually got to Rio for a bit. So I think he ran up and just killed one of the vampires by the door.
Should I turn on combat music instead of the chill music?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll find some combat music. I just remember I think I still only had one attack at that point because I was full rogue.
Yeah.
So I definitely did try to shoot Twitch and missed.
Yes.
And I was pissed.
I believe you tried to shoot Twitch and missed.
With my good poison too.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure you would have
I would have absolutely murdered him.
Because you beat him in initiative, so I think you would have assassinated him at that point. Because I think we were running assassinate wrong at that point.
At that point, yeah.
So you'd have just annihilated
This
him.
one's so quiet.
Thankfully.
Hold on, this one's very quiet. I'm gonna find a different one.
You want to play some Yakuza music? That's a request.
Oh no, is that gonna get me copyright stricken?
That could get, that could be owned music. For now, I think we'll just stick to the D&D basic combat music.
Let's do the RPG playlist.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah, this one's good.
Just kidding, alright. I mean, honestly, I believe that Yakuza probably got some good music.
No, it does.
Okay,
tell me if it's too loud or too quiet, and I'll turn it up or down. It's probably too quiet. Oh, okay.
Rio!
Thank you, Rio.
Hey, bro.
Thank you so much for 29 months. I'm gonna turn it up just a touch. I appreciate it. That's perfect. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I was first on initiative, so I of course had to use my turn to try and kill him.
Very much.
Which I really tried. I'm pretty sure I'd also gotten Purple Worm by that point.
Yes.
So I fully attempted to murder this kobold, and I missed, and I was so angry. And then I ran, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I think you sort of disengaged and tried to leave a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I tried to get out of the way.
He remained seated.
He did, and it was so ominous.
He remained seated. He used his actions just to charm people, and I believe he also used his legendary actions to do that. Rio in this fight had the stats of Strahd, with a huge boost to his actual mechanical stats, as well as being a level 20 monk. So he was an incredibly this was an
We were, I believe, level 6.
You were
7.
7 or 8.
7,
yeah.
Maybe 8.
You might have been level 8. So this was a very difficult fight. Probably a CR25 monster. Absolutely not something I expected them to fight against right now. And, being the villain that he is, it was gonna be, alright, you're gonna leave now, and you can come back and fight me later. The party still wanted to fight him, though, so some of them went
Except for me!
Tiffany casted, I believe, Wall of Flame on his position, which just set his chair on fire.
Yeah, which was awesome.
And his whole backdrop and his paintings on fire. So he was, I fully said he's going to willingly fail the saving throw, and continues to tense his fingers while actively burning. And just is like,
well, I would be the only voice of reason, but I was charmed, so I couldn't even do anything about it, is the best part.
yes.
I don't remember how I got uncharmed. I don't think I did.
So, the charm mechanic, I also changed from Strahd's charm mechanic. I thought the Strahd charm mechanic was far too punishing at this point in the campaign to run it how it was normally. Instead, what I changed it to was he could charm a person. If they failed, they are charmed, but anytime they take damage,
oh, that's
they
right.
can reroll the
Someone
charm
hit
save.
me.
Normally, I'm pretty sure Strahd or one of Strahd's allies has to deal damage to you in order for you to make the charm save again. I said any damage, so you could try to slap your friend out of a charm.
That may be what happened.
I think that as a
Let's
general
just
rule,
save.
that's fun. However, his saving throw DC was, I believe, a 20.
Yeah, so historically, through the entire campaign, but most of all right now, because I didn't have the Robe of Stars until like the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
My wisdom saves were absolute garbage.
Mm.
I believe the highest they ever got was like a +2.
Right.
So I would have had to roll a 19 or a 20 in order to save, no matter how many times people hit me.
Yes. So, but you were rolling with advantage due to being a half elf.
Due to being a half elf, which I remembered eventually.
Yes.
It's basically that.
Yeah, and also like paladins get this high level ability in 5e to like remove afflictions from allies.
Maybe
as, like,
that's
a slap.
what happened.
So, well, nobody had this.
Oh.
I'm just saying, like, based on
That's right,
that.
Olivia wasn't there. Damn
Yeah,
it.
based on that like basic concept, I like the idea of slapping somebody out of like fear or charm. Like, I think that's a fun thing. So they immediately, everything went to shit. It was like, all right, there's fire going. The vampires start attacking everybody. I'm pretty sure everyone decided to kill all the vampires first. One of the vampires got away. I don't really remember how
somehow that happened.
Yeah, so one of the vampires jumped out the window once he, was at really low health. But the fight started going real bad. Downstairs, people noticed that the thugs were all getting up in arms, so they started coming towards your room. You were essentially being cornered from every direction.
From every direction.
In the middle of a hangar attached to the, in a small room attached to the roof. It was unsafe for every reason. So, somebody took their action to cast Thunder Wave, I believe it was Marcus, to shatter all the windows.
Yes, we did do that.
Which is a great move. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Rio remained seated and casted Cloud Kill in the room. Just because Cloud Kill's a good spell for DMs to use, and I love it.
I hate that spell.
It immediately made everyone have a terrible time. I'm pretty sure Tom was going around just murking the vampires with his, bad touch ability. The clerics were doing their best to help. I'm pretty sure he couldn't charm either of the clerics. However, when he got to Tom did fail his save.
And that was bad.
And that was bad, because Tom's race made him have disadvantage on charm saving throws. And I'm pretty sure he had a 0 onto his wisdom, like a +0. So he fully could not save against this effect. Tom, being a fighter, was incredibly dangerous and started attacking the party. So
I think I was
going
uncharmed by that point.
You were uncharmed at that point, and I think you were trying to slap the shit out of Tom and maybe also Twitch. No, Twitch succeeded.
We were the only two that failed, I think.
Yeah. So then, he, at this point, has, taken several rounds of combat, several legendary actions, and he finally stands up, and the party is like, alright, it's time to leave. We need to get out of here. Unfortunately, that same turn, he grabs Soleil using his, vampire grab ability.
Because, it's a thing he has. He can just do that.
That's the thing all vampires have.
Well, I wasn't happy about it, really.
On melee attacks, vampires
In
have
my
the
defense,
ability...
I didn't think he was going to stand up.
Yes.
He hadn't historically done that for 5 rounds of combat, so I thought he would just be chill. I don't even think I was that close to him.
True. You were, 15 feet away from him.
I wasn't that close, so I was like, oh, if he does, he might go for someone else and not me. He doesn't know.
So he stood up and decided that it was enough silliness. He was gonna put on some big boy pants.
Okay.
Yeah. I have like a sliver. So he then...
Standing up is OP. It was for him.
Yes. He decided to start taking actual actions in combat.
I mean, what a concept.
So he grabbed Soleil, and he hit her with an ability that made it so she would essentially start rolling death saving throws immediately. If she failed 3 of them, yes, the vampire will wait patiently for 5 turns. And for anyone who is like an up-and-coming DM, if your party runs into the big bad evil guy before they're supposed to fight
This
him...
wasn't even our BBG.
It wasn't even
the best
the BBG,
part.
which is the best part. But if they run into a fight that's clearly like, you're not supposed to fight this guy, this is entirely something you should do. The main villain should not just kill everybody because they decide to fight him. No. The main villain should decide to...
punish them.
To wait. Yeah, to fully let it sink in
That this is
how
stupid.
stupid they're being, and give them an opportunity to run away. At this point, they could have run away at any point.
Well, not any point.
No, like, you could have jumped out the window. And just...
Slightly
been gone.
less big bad evil guy. Honestly, well, kind of. Things get complicated later.
Yes,
but,
charmed,
yeah.
I'm sure, yes.
I mean, pretty much. I'm pretty sure I maybe had, like, 1 round of combat that was my own.
Yes. He then
And then I got
immediately
grabbed.
grabbed you and hit you with this ability. And you had to start making constitution saving throws. And if you failed 3, he'd turn you into a vampire.
It was awesome. It was so great. I actually loved it. I was rolling with the big die. I remember.
She was rolling with the box
big
of doom,
die.
big, huge boulder die. It's like
wizard.
it's a D20 that's metal and roughly like 3 times the size of a normal D20. So it's awesome.
Like a golf ball size
Yeah,
D20.
it is a dangerous weapon.
You could kill someone with it, probably.
Easily. So she starts rolling those saves, and that's a bad time. The party's freaking out. At this point, the NPC that was helping the party out, who was also dating Tom at the time, charms Tom.
Yeah, contested charm.
With a charm person. And while there's no rules for this in 5e, what I said was that you can make opposed charisma checks to contest, essentially control.
But this was you
of a person.
at this point.
Yes.
I decided that Tiffany was there, so
I
you
had
did this.
I think I had somebody else roll, or I think I just rolled the 2 giant die.
Yeah, I
that
think
had.
you rolled them. This is fine. And that's literally what was happening.
Yes, they were in a burning room full of poisonous gas.
It was awesome.
And no one could see anything. Soleil's being poisoned to death while also being stabbed to death as she's got, like, this giant claw.
I was
going
literally
through her
dying
neck.
from every possible cause.
Yeah, he's got his hands, like, fully inside
And meanwhile,
her
I'm
body.
out of character going like, none of this was my fault.
Breathing to death.
Literally, that's what I was doing.
And then there's the contested charm thing. So it was an opposed charisma check. I'm pretty sure somebody gave her one of their inspiration.
It may have been me.
Because I rolled hers first, got like okay, and then I rolled his. He had a much higher charisma modifier. But he rolled very poorly. He rolled incredibly bad. So then somebody had her re-roll hers, and she got higher. So I said, like, she can maintain control over him for this turn. And what Tom was like, alright, I've gotta, help out. But it wasn't Tom's turn yet. So then the next person up, I think Rio used another one of his legendary actions and grabbed Tiffany.
Yeah, he definitely grabbed both of us.
He grabbed both of the, hot females in your area.
Let's be real. The hot females in his area.
Yeah, because something I had intended for the character, similar to, like, actual Dio, is he just goes after the women. Because he's a terrible person. And he wants to turn them into vampires. So he had both of them, opened up a painting, and revealed a secret staircase onto the roof of the building. It was then Tom's turn. Tom used his bad touch attack to rip off both of Rio's arms.
I thought it was just one. I thought it was just hers. I was grabbed until like the last minute. Or he had already let her go by then. Because I'm pretty sure I was the only one at risk of being dragged.
I'm pretty sure he did rip off
both
of his arms. Because...
It was either Tiffany had got out before then,
right.
or which was possible, because Tiffany did not have nearly as many
failed
times
saves.
to roll even as
right.
I did.
I think she had just been grabbed, and then he immediately was like, "All right, both of you."
That's probably what happened.
So now he's just an angry vampire torso right now.
With no arms.
Yes, his disintegrating slap. So then
It's
Rio was
bad
just like,
touch.
this is fine. I said that Rio would I would roll to see if Rio would regenerate his arms with his vampiric
We were like,
regeneration
oh, of
ability.
course.
But I said he'll only do that on his turn. So until then, it was just, alright, Tom squared up with him. And he's like, he can't charm me again. I'm gonna fight him to the death. That's the plan.
And I was like, you are an idiot.
So Lei went, because it's not.
True. It's really not.
Especially because her character would then have been an evil NPC that would have then
Would have been
tried to kill the
awesome.
party.
I
It would've been
honestly
super
would have.
fun.
It would have been great. But anyways,
So then Soleil takes her bonus action to disengage, runs up the
I'm
staircase.
also on the. I literally was almost dead.
Yeah, she was almost dead from being poisoned to death. She runs upstairs and she's like, cool, this is the way out. Gets to the top room, sees at the back of this little room, there is, it's kind of like it's an attic that she's in.
It was a ladder. It wasn't stairs.
Well, no, there was stairs up
Oh,
into
and then
the
there was a
attic.
ladder.
There's a whole bunch of boxes, and then there's a metal ladder at the back of the stairs with a metal sort of submarine door hatch at the top that you twist and open up. It describes, there's a ladder, metal door that might be like, a little hard to open. It looks a little rusty, but other than that, you can just pop it open. In the room, she was like, I want to look in these boxes.
Because obviously,
She wants to see if she
I've
can-
got all the time in the world.
Yeah, she wants to see if she can loot something before she leaves. I don't know what the plan was, but I imagine.
I just wanted to know what was in the boxes.
She pops a box. It's all dynamite.
And thank God I looked, right?
Right. So the plan was like, oh well, I don't want to be in the room full of dynamite. That seems bad. So she goes
Especially
back.
not when people knew where I went.
Yes. So then she went back down the stairs.
I'm like, we're not going that way.
Ran past Rio and started just running into the, gangplank where there was a ton of bad guys all rushing up to beat the snot out of you. Tiffany then took her action to cast another wall of flame and lit up the whole metal staircase that all of these villainous bad guys were all on.
Great idea.
Great idea. All the beefcakes pretty much immediately died because of just all the massive damage over time. Downside is she just created a huge open flame in a distillery that isn't up to fire code. I did definitely, as a DM,
Are you
you sure? As she was like, I want to throw up this fire thing. She's like, yeah, it's a metal staircase. It'll light them all up. It's
gonna be
fine."
awesome.
And I'm like, cool, you're right, but... And then I continued. Yeah, definitely needed some escape ropes.
Yeah, we didn't have any.
A teleportation scroll would have been
Would have
good.
been awesome, but we didn't have that shit.
So then, Soleil's just booking it towards
I'm like,
this
I'm
burning
leaving.
staircase. Tiffany's also booking it that way. The sorcerer NPC jumps out, and she just feather falls out of the window. Tom's still squaring up.
And we were I was like, leave him. I don't even care anymore.
Right. Rio starts taking his legendary actions to make unarmed strikes because he's a level 20 monk. He's just headbutting
I know, but he has no
Tom
arms.
to death because he has no arms. And Tom, after the second headbutt to the face, realizes that he's about to die. So he's like, this is bad. We don't have the special effects budget for this. Yes, exactly. Now, I can't remember who was polymorphed. But it either
wasn't
Twitch
me.
or Tom.
It might have been Tom, actually. She might have done that real quick.
She might have.
Maybe it was Twitch. All I know is it wasn't me. Oh, we're gonna have to ask them.
I think it might have been. Oh no, Twitch Indiana Jones started it.
Yeah, Twitch left immediately, which really pissed me off.
Yeah, so Twitch.
I was like, I'm gonna actually kill him next time.
Rather than deal with all the munchkins on the floor who are kind of playing goalkeeper to the doors, Twitch jumps out the window, ties a rope to his crossbow bolt, and says, can I shoot it into the ceiling? And fulcrum my way.
Indiana Jones.
And yeah, fulcrum my way and just launch out the front door like a rocket. And I'm pretty sure at that point I was just like, yes, absolutely.
Of course.
That's rad as hell.
I'm pretty sure someone was with him.
Not on the rope.
No.
Then, I remember what happened. It was...
See, this is why we needed to tell it first before writing it, because this fight had many moving parts.
Yes. Maria was like, Tom, you gotta get the fuck out of there. I think on Rio's turn, he regenerated his arms.
And we were like, it's time to leave.
And then started, or I think he regenerated one arm, and Maya just started beating the snot out of Tom.
Yeah.
Maria went back up to Tom, and I'm pretty sure, like, dimension doored out of there.
That might have been right. And I was like, girl, leave him. I know he's your
so
boyfriend, but God, please leave him.
It's like halfway out of there. Now Rio is, up in this box in a burning building, and I described the fire. There's explosions everywhere. The distillery is absolutely going up in smoke. And Soleil notifies the party that there is a giant attic full of dynamite in the ceiling for some reason, and we need to get out of here before this whole place is extremely exploded. So one of the sorcerers casted polymorph, and I believe the first one to do it might have been Tiffany on herself to turn herself into a giant eagle.
Yeah, I think that is what happened.
And I'm pretty sure Mumford and you rode off with her.
Yeah, we were together. I'm pretty sure.
Then Maria casted polymorph on Tom because Tom was a black vampire. He couldn't be out in the sunlight.
Yeah.
So she turns him into a Tyrannosaurus and rides him out of there the other direction.
Yeah, we split up at that point.
Twitch fully has disengaged and swung off into
so
somewhere else. Because he left almost immediately. Yes,
I was like, you got us into this mess, you bastard, and now you're gone.
Yes.
Except it was really Tom's fault, but it was at least, like, partially Twitch's fault.
Right. Then at this point, they don't see this, but, Rio's fucking getting into the basement. Didn't store the explosives in the basement because there was a secret tunnel out of there to his office. So he's going to be just leaving through the basement.
Luckily, not like that.
So polymorph in D&D 5e allows you to turn a creature into a beast of your choice, and it's limited by their level. So if you want to turn somebody into a T-Rex, they have to be at least at level 8. That's why you guys were level 8 at this point, is because you could turn somebody into a T-Rex. If you wanted to turn an enemy into a frog or something, they get to make a saving throw, which is, a dice roll. And if they succeed, the spell fails, and you do not turn your villain into a frog. If you do it on an ally, trying to turn your ally into, like, a Triceratops or a bear, they can willingly fail the save and turn into the monster at will. So it will not fail if you use it on an ally.
With their consent.
With their consent. So a giant eagle carrying 2 party members zips off into the sky, while a T-Rex with a sorcerer on top of it rides out the front door. I'm pretty sure Twitch, like, swung back around and landed on the T-Rex as they're, like,
I think that might have happened.
Marcus might have been with the T-Rex.
I don't remember where he was.
I don't remember. But you guys leave just as the building explodes. Like, massive explosion, burning chunks of metal in every direction. Fully sets the entire city block on fire. And the session ends with an eagle kind of soaring up into the skies, seeing this, towering explosion, a column of fire. And looks down and sees the T-Rex, and you guys, swoop down to regroup with that party. And you guys do group back up. Just as the fire trucks and police are arriving, you are cornered on this little part of the island, essentially like Manhattan Island, but much smaller. It's like city block style, where there's only a river below you. And that's where we ended that session of Soleil's, most of the party's mostly dead. Soleil's almost a vampire and very much infected. Tiffany's also infected.
But not nearly as bad off as I am.
Not nearly as bad. And, you guys are the number 1 suspects.
And so this would be a great time to remind everyone of our one directive for coming into this town, which was don't fuck anything up. And that was that session. But that session is forever going to stick in my mind because it was one of the, like, few sessions. Normally I feel like our group is pretty good about staying in character and, like, not doing too much metagaming except during combat. Like, we're not that great about it, but normally we're okay. In that session, we were not. We were full on yelling at each other. It was basically just me and Tom yelling at each other. Whether it was in or out of character, we'll never know.
Did you
But-
start a war? No.
Well, not that time.
Yes. Skipping forward a little bit, what ended up happening is Rio ended up reporting them to the police
Yeah, so...
for arsoning their building. So they had a warrant out on their arrest. They had to essentially escape the city while the city was in high alert, looking for these nefarious characters.
It was awesome.
Um,
We did it. We saved the city.
Very
It
much.
was very much that.
Exactly that moment. And yeah.
Oh, you should tell them what you did later though with Rio. I actually still have it.
Yes.
Oh, I can't show it because we don't have I don't have my camera pulled up,
Oh.
but I do still have it. I
So
think.
to
Oh no, this
continue-
is the
yeah,
map.
I can continue this story. We can continue until this like logical conclusion. Party, starting the next session, cornered, low on resources, very hurt, and I made a note that a couple of the vehicles the firemen were getting out of and like going to extinguish the fire before it spread too far. People were screaming and running around, definitely already like injured casualties. And some of the vehicles were not well guarded. So if they wanted to, they could have done a car chase to get out of there. I had a full car chase planned, car chase mechanics and all that stuff. However,
We didn't.
the reason why I had this planned is it was just something that I expected as part of the boss fight that I thought they would maybe do, but then they decided not to. But I already had a plan, so I could repurpose it, and I loved that. Secondarily, I also had a map of the city that had the directions of the river flows. So this was a city with a magical river that kind of like swirled and spiraled around a whole bunch of like random directions. And so I had to mark which direction the water was moving.
Well, this was the next day also.
Yes, this was next session.
All of the other shit that happened.
Well, not really. You did have to get there.
Oh yeah, we didn't use the river to get
I
there.
think you stole a boat, didn't you?
That was how we got out.
That's how you borrowed Tiffany's family's boat to get out.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I thought we had to stealth
You had to
mission.
get to the house.
Oh, I
and you
thought
had
I
nowhere to go.
remembered Poe helping us with the theft of the boat. Blah blah blah.
You stole a boat for. I think you stole this boat, and then you had to then go.
I
and take
I
Tiffany's
believe you. I'm
yeah.
always gonna believe you over my memory. So
I'm not 100% sure. You might have just flown an eagle.
I feel like we may have. I feel like from what I remember, I only remember doing the waterways shit when we were actually getting out of the city.
Yes. Well, that's when it took you a whole long time. It wasn't a whole long journey to get to Tiffany's house. So Tiffany had family in the city, and you were thinking that you could lay low there for a while. I believe what happened is the party also saw a nearby boat that was, unattended.
I could believe that happened. I believe it.
I think they went up and they stole one of these like little waterway, kind of like Italy
Yeah,
style
Venice.
boats.
Exactly following.
And yeah, Venice style. Except imagine the rivers are moving very fast, like full water rapid style rivers, for magic coolness purposes and also like cleanliness purposes. And so they're ripping their way, and they manage to use a little bit of control water to get right to where they want to go immediately. You pop out of the boat. I think you leave the boat behind, or I think somebody like gets rid of the boat.
I think we
to
might have
not-
gotten rid of it.
Yeah, to not let these guys know. I think you just throw it down the river.
Yeah, I think I did that.
Um,
Meanwhile, I'm still dying.
yeah, meanwhile you're still dying.
I'm still dying.
Party gets into this wonderful mansion that Tiffany's parents
And
are
uncle.
aunt and uncle.
Because
are
it also
staying.
wasn't my parents.
Yes.
Tiffany and I are related.
These are some of Tiffany and Soleil's aunts and uncles. Some of the Lorelei Bard family.
God, I hate
They
my
welcome
family.
you with open arms, let you know that there's a lot of dangerous shit going on outside, so it'd be
Which
good to
we
stay
have
indoors.
no idea.
A curfew was installed over the city almost immediately, so it was just like, cool, we cannot go outside. And you were all paranoid that a bunch of vampires would come and murder you in your sleep. Very good to be paranoid about that, because that's exactly what happened. So the party all,
I don't
bunkers
even
down. You put boards up on all the windows, which I thought
I
was
don't
hilarious.
even remember if we got a long rest.
You didn't.
Yeah, I don't even think we
you
got
did.
a long rest. I think we got a short rest. And I
Yes.
don't think I'd been cured by that
No.
point either. So
No,
I
you
was
had
like,
not.
I'm going to die
Yes.
in this fight.
Everyone's very scared. So they learned that in order to cure vampirism, they would have to get a cleric to cast Greater Restoration on her within 24 hours. They don't have a cleric who can cast that spell yet. So they have to contact some clerics. I rolled a luck check. And they're like, alright, there are some clerics in the city that can do this, but they can only be here tomorrow morning. So you have to
So
lay
I was
here
like, oh god.
overnight. And the party's like, okay, that's terrible. But we're gonna do it anyway. I'm like, good. So they stay overnight in this vampire. And see you later, Segway. Glad you can join us. So the party bunkers down. They board up all the windows. We had some guests also playing.
We did have some guests that day.
Which was fun. It was a big old party.
Because it was right after the super tense session. So,
Yes.
and then we had a bunch of people show up
Bunch
for
of
our
people
next
showed
session.
up for next session. And I gave them a whole bunch of like servants in the household and like family friends that just happened to be there, and we're gonna help defend this house from an invasion. So the last remaining vampire businessman that they failed to kill shows up and whispers through the walls, doors, windows, and manages to charm a majority of the help inside the house. A lot of them are halflings and elven like fighters who are all, you know, like level 1 or 2 fighters, butlers that are ready to like defend themselves. And so they just start pouring into this center room that
And
you
we
guys
were like,
are in.
oh god.
As the vampire like slams the doors open, as one of the halflings comes up and invites him into the house.
Because of course that's a rule.
Yeah, he is charmed, so the vampire must be invited into the home. So that is exactly what happened. Vampire steps in, and everyone sees that there's something very wrong about the vampire. There's just like an aura of nastiness to him. Immediately they saw the lights outside the street dim to a strange yellow glow, and then the windows all turn like an inky black darkness, and then almost looks like you're looking out into open space, like stars in the far distance.
We had no idea what was going on.
No idea what was going on. At this point, the vampire's shadow, which was the only vampire with a shadow, seemed odd, peeled up off of the floor into the form of a very spooky specter thing that they did not recognize. I showed an image. This was an image of Hastur, which is an evil god in my campaign. He's shown up because Rio Brando is a warlock of Hastur in this, and he
I
has
always
the
forget
ability to
about that.
call upon him to do nefarious things. This vampire was essentially serving as a backpack conduit for a giant god. So the second that this god is summoned, time seems to slow down, everyone starts making saves against insanity effects, and all of the help, despite being charmed, all kind of start going
Ooh,
crazy.
yum. That sounds good.
Heck yeah. So all
So
the
it was
help
a
are
bad
going crazy.
time,
Bad
and-
time as this elder god has joined the fight. This isn't even the final boss. Yeah. It is not.
We were level 8. This campaign went to level 20.
Yeah, so the rules for this, I sort of set out upon the combat opening, is that all these halflings have the same rules as you guys did as they're charmed. You can deal damage to them, and that gives them another save. They save on a roll of a 15 or higher, at which point they can try to start helping their friends. If you don't do that, you have a ton of ads who are going to start beating the snot out of you. Ads meaning minions. So, the vampire has his turn, as well as Hastur has his turn as well. Separate turns.
Shouldn't say his name. You
Yes.
should call him what we called him.
He was Big Beans to
We
the
called him
party.
Big Beans.
The party did not know who this guy was. They, at this current point,
we
were
gave him that
calling
nickname later.
the Spectre, or like the weird god. They could tell that the only thing keeping him here was the vampire himself. So the goal was kill the vampire and everything should go back
Kill
to
the
normal.
vampire and don't die.
And don't die. Problem with that was Hastur was right next to the vampire, so getting right up in the business was a dangerous proposition.
Also, I didn't want to get anywhere near this vampire because I had already failed 2 saves.
Yes.
And I was like, if I fail one, if I get infected again, no, this is a different one.
Yes, so they are back. They're in the mansion that they went to hide out in. This is Rio's second in command that they failed to kill during the Rio fight. Rio had essentially attached his patron god to this guy, kind of like a parasite. The vampire was taking damage every turn, clearly could not hold in all of the juicy awesomeness of this evil god. So it very much was, don't get killed. On the god's first turn, he stops time and disintegrated 4 of the halflings that were on your team.
We were like, oh my god.
So, the only reason they even knew that was everyone made a save, and somebody rolled a natural 20 on the save. It was a DC, I believe, 30 save.
It wasn't me.
It was fully impossible to do. It's actually kill the summoner, exactly.
Like you
and
do.
I think it was Tom, looked and saw time stop, but could still move his eyes. Very much, this is Zawirldo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, for anyone familiar with this.
Somebody said it earlier. Somebody said at least he can't stop time earlier.
Yes, this is his ability to stop time. When he stood up during the original fight, this was not the extent of his power, this is his full abilities. So he, his stand, which is a god, went up and punched 4 of these halflings who just ceased to exist. When time resumed, there was just the fluttering clothing of these halflings going down.
And we were like, oh my god. Yeah, his persona. Thank you for putting it in terms I understand.
It is his persona.
It is his persona.
Yes.
He really is a persona.
Unfortunately, this is like somebody else is using
your persona,
and he's not a persona user, so he's gonna die.
So he's gonna die any minute.
He's having a bad time. They also noticed that they cannot remember the halflings who died, names or faces. As the memory of them is erased. So they are thrown into a panic. They start uncharming the halflings. The halflings are going up, trying to beat the shit out of the vampire. Then the vampire uses his god turns to disintegrate some of the halflings rather than the party, which was a very good thing that the party did.
Yes.
The ads were dying instead of they were. They eventually beat this. This was actually a pretty quick fight.
This one wasn't that long.
It didn't go very long. It was just everyone's at low level, or at low health.
Yeah, because we didn't rest.
Whoever can just hit each other hard now wins. And that's exactly what happened. You just all smacked the vampire really hard. He went down. Evil God exploded and fully blew up like a 4th of the house.
Yeah, that was awkward.
And just sort of sucked it out of existence. Like a 50-foot sphere of matter just stopped being. On top of that, you had to also be fighting your aunt and uncle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was going toe-to-toe with my uncle.
Yes, the reason why this fight was difficult was your uncle.
Oh, it just made him go away. We didn't kill him. Was he a Blades? No, the other one was
the other one's Bladesinger. This uncle was a not a swashbuckler rogue. He was a fighter duelist.
Oh, that's right. Fighter. No, he wasn't the monk.
While
I fought too many monks.
Your aunt was, of course, a bard.
Yeah, duh.
They're trying to, dominate you and do all this other shenanigans. You went up and slapped them. They uncharmed. They helped you with the fight. And you killed the vampire. When the vampire fell over, the persona was no longer summoned. Because that's how that works. And the persona exploded. Hooray.
Oh, that's a good question, actually.
That is a good question. I'll finish really quick, and then I'll answer your question. Everyone woke up the following morning. The aunt and uncle could not remember what happened at all, and most of the party as well did not remember the night's occurrences. Those that made a couple saving throws at the end of the night did wake up and still remember vaguely, and were able to describe the events, and once they did, everyone remembered. They realized that they fought an evil god of secrets and unknowable knowledge, and should never talk about it again. And they pretty much didn't.
No, we did. We fully did not.
You pretty much didn't. You even consulted the Book of Vecna, which is the Book of Evil Secrets that you had, and it said that whatever this thing was, it didn't like being put in a box. And secrets can't go back in the box.
God, so that was the creepiest things you've ever said as a DM.
Yeah.
It was basically the Darkhold, yeah.
Yes. Vecna's book is the Darkhold. I had watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before, and it was 100% that.
Until today.
You read it and go insane. But yeah, that was essentially it.
That was most of... And then right after that, we escaped
And then the next
city.
session, you escaped the city through a boat chase, and it was fun.
And it was fun. It was great.
And she got cured of her vampirism.
I did, thank God. But it got real dicey. I'm pretty sure I had to use all of my inspiration.
I think Tom actually mentioned what I said in that moment.
He did. I saw it in there.
Yeah, because it was something around that. This
it was like a last note he took as Tom, too.
Yes. This evil god is essentially the villain of my world. He is the devil, where he was just like the being of all that is evil.
We're cool.
And yeah, the party kind of like was on tentatively okay terms with him by the end of the campaign, which
in
is
our
very
defense,
funny.
we didn't know that what we were doing was getting on tentatively okay terms with him until we'd done it.
Yes.
We were like, well, can't do anything about it now, but
Yes.
that is a story for another day.
Yes. It was so Hastur, upon dying, told Tom that secrets can't be put back in the box. And then later, when you consulted the book of Vecna, is he doesn't like being put in the box. So then the party was like, cool, even Vecna won't talk about this guy.
Therefore, we should not talk about it.
We're gonna never talk about it. You figured out his name because it's what the vampire screamed. Like Persona, when you
he literally summoned the persona.
You yell the thing's name. So.
Oh, hey. And then now Hastur is in Persona.
Hastur is in Persona in Royal, which we very much freaked out about.
Okay, well, we will answer your question, Calaxy. And then you can catch it later.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when the next one of these is going to be honest.
Tips for DMing over the internet. So.
If you don't watch the VOD, ask again next time and we'll just do it again.
Main things for DMing over the internet is trying to maintain interest. It's very easy when you're not at a table to fall into the patterns of scrolling through Twitter, looking at Twitch, not paying attention during the game. You
feel
always
like I'm
want to
being
pull out
called
your
out.
phone. A little bit.
Yeah, I do. I'm so bad.
So people look
worst.
at their phone. It's always just gonna happen. Good night, Claxy. See you later.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So the main thing is you're trying to engage interest. That may involve kind of redoing your campaign a little bit to have not a whole lot of downtime, not a whole lot of lulls. What I mean by that is like, you're describing traveling. You don't have to have like random encounters during travel times. If you're going to go into combat, make sure that before combat starts, you have all of the character sheets pulled up for combat, you're fully prepped, and really don't give people the time to think about what they're doing during their turns. They have to prep before the turn comes up. And if somebody's like, oh, hey, yeah, what's going on? You're just like, all right, you weren't paying attention, we're skipping you until you realize what's going on. Anytime you're having an NPC do something in combat, you're already rolling the dice and seeing if it hits before you start describing it. It's just a lot of like small time-saving things that makes sure that combat, especially over the internet, goes quickly and maintains interest. Another thing that's important to do is trying to encourage inter-party communication, because it very easily, when you're in a video call versus at the table, it's easy to talk to one player in a one-on-one conversation between the DM or an NPC and a one particular player character. And in that circumstance, it's bad video call etiquette for the other players to like discuss what's going on, because it creates, it's a bunch of voices and no one can understand each other. At a table, it's easier to do that because the DM can like address a person individually, and then the other two players can like whisper to each other and like have like a side conversation, like RPing, oh yeah, what's going on with these guys? Like, you can do that. Video calls, you can't rely on that as the DM, which is like something that you don't know you miss until it's gone. Like, it's so nice, but you don't realize how nice it is until you can't have it anymore. So in that circumstance, you just gotta keep a lot of conversations, including all of the party members, so that everyone's on their toes and everyone's participating in the conversation.
And also, I feel you as a party member can take it upon yourself to, if you're doing it in something like Discord or Roll20, if the conversation is not, super critical for your character, it's just, dividing up loot or like, where are we going next again or something like that, you can have it in text. Like, if it's just like oh, I wasn't paying attention, where are we going next? Like, are we taking a long rest before this? You can put it on yourself to, like, message someone, or I know when we were doing it on Discord, we would be having conversations in the text while things were happening, like while you're not actively doing things.
And that's something that I think as a DM, that's fully on your players, and you can request that of your players. I didn't request it, but it ended up being incredibly nice for me as a DM. Because I was, going back and forth with, like, one or two characters, because this was a critical moment in their personal story.
Yeah, and the rest of us are just like, we are listening, but we
Right.
also need to divide out this loot we got from last session, and we haven't done it yet.
Right, so they're texting.
Here's a list of all the stuff. Everyone take what they want.
Right, they're talking to each other in the general part of Discord. They're not texting, it's keeping it in a situation where I can also see it as a DM, but I'm not currently looking at it. I'm talking, I'm fully immersed. But then afterwards, as I'm, doing my notes and they start talking to each other, I can scroll through what they were talking about and be like, oh, this is where they want to go next. Now I'm preparing for what they're about to ask of me. Of, hey, we want to go to this city up in the north. They have that in the text conversation. I, as the DM, can be like, cool, I'm going to do that. But yeah, it's a lot of, like, establishing ground rules, demanding that nobody, be on distractions over... computer calls is somewhat unreasonable and very difficult. I know that I personally have a pretty good attention span when it comes to D&D.
And I know that I do not.
Like, yeah. And I very much try to. Like, it's something I am very intentional about, but it's also easier for me than it is for most people. I, at the same time, don't expect that of any of my players. I appreciate it, for sure. But it's not something I demand of the people I play with, of, alright, no looking at anything while you're playing the game. It's like, no, I mean, that's not fun. This is a game.
Oh, I guess we could go back to, like, the chill playlist.
Yeah. This is a game. People are here to have fun. If somebody can have fun and pay attention while also scrolling through Twitter or Reddit or whatever, then sure, all the power to them. Just, make sure that you're not slowing down the game by not understanding what's happening when you jump back into the game. That's the ground rule I pretty much established. Like, don't be so distracted as to when I directly address you during conversation, you don't have to go, what? What's happening? That bothers me.
See, I don't feel like I do that.
You don't do that. I know that Diana's very good at multitasking. She's incredibly good at that. I am not, so I have to be very focused on one thing at a time, and that's why I can fully focus on D&D. I have a friend who definitely does not multitask well, and very much does get distracted while he plays, and it's like something of, it's like, alright, pay attention, please, because we don't have to repeat this. And then when you're repeating things for the one person, it slows down everything for everyone else, and then they lose interest, and it's just like... It's like a Jenga tower. Playing online is very much, a bunch of fragile building blocks. When it's all put together, it's a great time, but if you take out too many of them, it starts to collapse immediately. So, you just want to make sure that that is established among your players.
I think my favorite thing about, this is going back to our campaign again, about playing online during quarantine was when we did the quarantine arc while we were in quarantine, which got so meta. I don't know if we've actually talked about this yet, because we haven't really gotten to this part of the campaign and our campaign story.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've mentioned it, but our campaign fully featured a disease.
The main villain of the campaign was already in development of making a super disease 3 years ago, 3 years before COVID started.
Like, we've been planning this for a long time.
I had that story. Well, this was even before you guys started playing.
Yes, this is in your world already.
Yeah, the main villain, Aoife Vexeltodd, was a character that I had written short stories about. This was a villain that I had fully developed. Her, Olivia, Whitehaven, as well as Asha. Like, they were all characters that I fully had developed in my world for the purpose of them meeting.
So was it like that WoW event?
I don't know the WoW event.
The one where people got sick and there was like a huge social experiment about it. I read an article on that one time, where it was like passed between players, and so there were some people who would like go around deliberately infecting people, and then there were others who like set up quarantine systems, and it was kind of like a social experiment. Like, WoW didn't do it on purpose, but it kind of became like a social experiment.
Huh. I don't remember hearing about that. I know of the Warcraft, like, 2 or 3 event where, you know, the disease has to be purged.
Maybe that's what he's talking
but
about.
I don't think that's probably what you're talking about. I'm talking about, like, Arthas's descent into madness, so that's probably not what you're referring to. I know about World of Warcraft lore, not so much the events that.
No, I was correct. Yeah, I don't remember the details of it, but I remember it was like actually I think passed from like player to player, and so there would be certain people who would like be good about it and like quarantine, and there'd just be people that would just run into crowded areas while infected, and it became like people wrote like academic papers on it, like as like a study of humanity. I'm like, that's it. I read it. It was online plague.
Did it have like an effect on the players?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could straight up die from it.
What?
Like,
you could die from this?
I don't know. I might be wrong about that.
Like if it gave you like a -1 to your con score, that'd be. Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah, it killed him.
That's insane. I love that.
So anyways, it was very funny because I feel like we definitely found out about the disease before COVID, but then COVID happened. And then we got sent online, and then we all got infected with the disease.
Yes.
And we were all like, well, guess we'll have to quarantine.
Right. And they're like, okay, we have to quarantine.
Oh, it wasn't designed to be spread. It was a glitch. That's why. And then people kind of ran with it.
Okay, gotcha.
And so yeah, we did a full quarantine arc where our characters were all quarantined together.
And this was never an intention. This was always like,
while we were all apart.
She's got this super plague. She's gonna release it, and they're gonna stop her. That's what I got planned. Instead, it was like, all right, she's got the super plague. She released it, and then the party's like, all right, we gotta set up quarantines. We gotta be like social distancing.
I mean, it was
like, well,
it was
shit.
when. Sorry, it was topical.
I know, it was very topical.
To be fair, there wasn't really much we could have done about it at that point.
Right.
Like, there was a lot happening at that point in the campaign.
Yes.
And then we had to go do the magical boat.
Yep, they did a magic boat.
We quarantined on a magic boat. It was awesome.
They, found the cure to COVID.
We did. Magic, as it turns out. Magic and ancient psionic science. Yeah.
As it turns out, doctors do have the solution.
Yeah.
And can be trusted.
We learned that. I mean, we always knew that, but we didn't know where the doctors were.
Right. They
we had to find them.
the doctors, and they did. So yeah, that just happens to be a thing on during.
It was funny. Quarantine. We all loved it. Like I remember you talking to me privately, and you felt so bad, and we were like, I was like, have you seen us playing? We think this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
for me, it's like, okay, D&D's meant to be escape from reality.
And I was like, no, this is so funny. Yes, corrupted blood. That's what it's called.
Okay. Right. Yeah. For me, D&D's usually like an escape, and a lot of people were having a bad time from COVID. So
we were like, we're having a great time.
I didn't mean to make this part of the campaign at this point, guys. This was something I've had planned for years. So
I was like, nah, we're here for it. We're having fun.
What?
Didn't somebody request some? Oh, how I seduced the wizard. That's what they wanted to know.
So the wizard,
I don't know how much I did the seducing.
Yeah, she was seduced by the wizard, is what actually
happened. I mean, depends on who you ask, really.
It's what exactly happened. The wizard was one of few characters that I, as a DM, designed in order for Jessica to fall in love with him.
I'm sorry that I have a type.
Right. One of the characters I designed was just Edgeworth. And one of the characters I designed was just a good boy. Just a sad good boy.
So guess which one I fell for. Just guess.
Well, those are her two types. So I wasn't sure which one she'd go for. She went with Edgeworth, and that's exactly how it happened.
Both. No, not both. We could have had both.
She became friends with the good boy.
I did. I became friends with the good boy, and I think I corrupted him to be not so good of a boy.
Yes.
I gave him a rebellious streak.
She started a prank war with Edgeworth, and eventually, one thing led to another, and seduction happened.
Then, I mean, I don't know. Don't ask me. I really don't know. Like, I think I may have told this story before. I've told you this story before, but fully, when Tiffany, this had to have been recently that, like, around that point then. Yeah. Whenever we first went to Etnox after Tiffany joined the party. Because Hannah said it possibly out of character, like,
Right.
ooh, Cedric is cute. I think I'm gonna make a move on that. And I was like, don't you dare. Like, across the table. And she was like, was that in character? And I was like, I have no idea. And from then on, it was Tiffany's sole purpose in life to get those two assholes together.
Yeah.
And she managed it.
Yep. One also, like, critical moment for the relationship is the wizard boy died.
That's true. He did die.
And
God, when did that happen?
got revived pretty soon after that.
That might have been the same trip.
It might have been the same trip. And when he died and got resurrected, then the party was... No, not the party. Then Soleil was like, oh, I was sad about that.
I was sad that he died.
Exceptionally sad, despite us having this prank war, and I hate him.
And I actually hate him. He's actually the worst.
Soleil had the roughly, romantic and, the emotional...
Be careful maturity? What you say.
Emotional maturity.
Oh, yeah.
Of, like, a 5th grader.
Oh, that's true. That's entirely true, yeah.
Where she, could not tell the difference between bullying a kid and falling in love with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely what happened.
That's exactly what happened, yeah. It was very cute.
In my defense, she was 18.
And I loved all of it. She was 18 for a half-elf, so she was very young.
But, highlight of the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was something that the way I make my characters is I don't make my characters. I build them mechanically and have a very loose idea of what I want them to accomplish going in. And then I kind of just let it ride, which I'm sure annoys every DM that is not you. Because that's gotta be annoying. I know you like it because you know me so well, and so you can, like, work off it. But all of our other friends who DM for me, I'm sure they hate me.
They don't. I can insist that they do not hate you. You hit the baseline of a player who absolutely loves playing the game and wants to show up, and that exceeds
that's very good.
Most expectations as a DM.
But I think that is what made this campaign so special for me, was because I went in with one character concept and I came out at level 20 with a completely different character.
And I loved it.
It was awesome.
Went in with a spicy rogue girl.
Came out still a spicy rogue girl,
but much more
with a conscience.
With a conscience, emotionally matured, was in a stable-ish relationship.
They're married.
Fully married.
Yeah, I got married. I think we decided I turned 19 at some point in the interim. Got married. After how long had we dated? Like 2 gotta months. Be 2 months.
2 months.
And then they got married because he wanted to move things along, and I was like, whatever, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they got married out of necessity of they're gonna die next week, so why not?
So why not get married?
And if we don't die, then
I guess we're married.
We're married, and that's awesome. And then she was like,
that was the logic, and I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Let's do it.
Whatever.
And it was incredibly cute, and they had a little wedding.
It was lovely. It was so fun. God, this campaign was a nightmare. I miss it every day.
Oh yeah.
I'm legitimately very sad that it's over. So sad. You know this already. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but it was just so long.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we're ever gonna play a campaign that long again.
I don't know. I mean,
that we play every week. Let's exclude, Dragon Quest going bi-weekly or something.
Yeah, weekly.
A weekly campaign that goes for almost 2 years.
Right.
I don't know if we're ever gonna do that again.
Right. Let's say, like, out of the 52
are you doing
weeks,
math?
I can do some math. Like, out of the 52 weeks, how many do you think we probably, like, missed weekly?
Not that many.
Maybe, like, 10?
I'd probably do more than that. I was gonna say, like, 12, maybe.
Okay, so 40.
Yeah.
Times, like, 4. Times, like...
This is the exciting part of the stream where he's doing math.
Doing some math. It was, like, 2.5 years or 2 years?
It was 2 years. It was from June-ish of 2L, before 2L.
Right.
To April of 3L.
Yeah, I think that's about 2 years.
So almost just under 2 years.
Yeah. So about 300 to 320 hours.
Oh my god. That's less time than I've put into Xenoblade.
I mean, yeah.
That's sad.
But a lot can happen. And, that's going average 4-hour sessions.
Somewhere longer, somewhere shorter.
40 sessions a year for 2 years.
Yeah, that's probably about right, honestly. Good times.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna move on. Well, now we're doing a new campaign with our LawQuest friends where he is in fact playing, and not DMing, which is fun for you, I'm sure.
Yes.
Very good. And then eventually, maybe we'll do LawQuest 3.
I do like DMing more than playing.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought so, but I'd never actually heard you say it.
That's a thing that isn't very common. It's awesome when you're the DM for a lot of people. But right now I've had probably the longest. It's the longest stint I've had not DMing a campaign in 6-ish years, and it is killing me slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely need it.
Well, then we have to hurry up and finish Source campaign, I guess.
Oh,
Well,
no, I want to start Ganji Quest 2.
You're gonna. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I'm afraid to talk about that.
I went from DMing 2 campaigns
to DMing none.
To DMing none, abruptly, and it was a lot. So, yep, that's how we're doing right now.
He's gonna try and teach me Pathfinder, and I'm so scared.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a great.
I'm so scared. Pathfinder is scary.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Pathfinder is essentially a third party, not Wizards of the Coast. I think it's Paizo.
I think it's Paizo, yeah.
Decide to take what was like the baseline of 3.5 D&D and run with it and sort of change a couple of the minor rules, but make it something of their own. And it is a much more complex numerically system than 5e is, but due to how old it is, it has so many resources, so many different things, and so many like classes and abilities where you can build any character you could ever want. Jessica's character is going to be a persona user with a giant dog.
It's gonna be great once someone builds it for me.
Yep. That's going to be mostly you with some help.
No.
One of the other players I have is going to be a Pokemon trainer with a sniper rifle. One of the other players is a dragon, not a dragonborn, a full dragon who can shapeshift and is also a Jedi. And then the last player is a character from JoJo's. It's just Giorno from JoJo's.
What a party.
So that's the party. It's very silly. And they're gonna fight Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars Empire, and also some other people. And also Rio. Rio Brando's
yeah, we are gonna fight Rio. I get round 2 with Rio.
Yeah, so Rio's gonna be the villain of this
great.
campaign.
Do they have the physique of a dragon? What does Nick's character look like?
They look like a dragonborn, but he is sort of it's a homebrew race I have, where he has the ability to fully Hulk out into a full dragon person. Which, would be, a 6 limbs, big old dragon monster. But doing so is physically taxing. So he can't do it all the time, and it's something he has to recover from. Most of the time, he will be walking around as this jacked dragonborn.
What could go wrong? Many things.
All the things.
Mostly me learning Pathfinder, that's what could go wrong.
Yep.
It's a lot of math. I'm not very good at math.
But my engineer friend made a very good spreadsheet so that you don't have to do any math.
Replace good with terrifying, and yeah, that's true.
It makes it so all the math happens for you.
But it's scary.
You just have to add a big number to a d20 roll. That's it.
I listened to them play Pathfinder one time, and they're just like, yeah, I did 120 damage, and I'm like, what is happening?
A lot of people do call it Mathfinder. It is very the numbers get really big really fast. Well, like in 5e, if somebody does 50 damage in a
You're just
turn,
like, whoa.
You're like, whoa, at any point of the game. Like level 20, somebody does 50 damage, you're like, whoa, nice turn. If somebody does that level 5, you're like, holy crap, how'd you do that? In Pathfinder, you're doing 50 damage at level 5, and you're doing 700 damage at level 20.
I don't need math. That's why I went to law school.
Yeah. Lawyers don't have to do math, except
until
that
we do.
Yeah. We were lied to.
Remember that one time at Soleil when I did How much damage to Aoife did I do in that one turn, that one
did,
time?
like 1 point less than 200.
Yeah,
or exactly 200.
I think it
damage.
might have been exactly 200. It might have been. It might have been a little
201
over. I think I
damage.
did 201 damage in one turn, and that was like the proudest moment of my entire life.
Yeah, that was like, this is.
I spent a week
perfect.
planning out that turn.
Yes, I do remember that.
And then I didn't even do everything that I said I was gonna
You didn't do everything. You only missed like one thing though.
Yeah. That's my This is my problem when I play D&D and I know what's gonna happen, which I always do because we live together and you talk to me, which you shouldn't do.
Right.
I have like a whole week to plan out what I'm gonna do in combat. It's great and awesome, and then when I get into combat, I don't do it.
Which is like, for me as a DM,
It's awesome.
because then I get to talk to her about things, and she's like, cool, I got a plan, and then she forgets the plan, so I might as well not have talked to her about it.
Well, no, because then I remember your plan, and I'm like, I was gonna do something about this, and then I don't remember.
And then you don't remember, so it might as well not. It's the same. It's net zero.
This is
for
the
me.
problem, because other people, like, would go to their party and talk about their plan, but he lives with me, so I just tell him all my plans, which is a terrible idea, because he's the DM.
No, I think that's awesome,
It's
because
brilliant.
as the DM...
It was a good plan.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure it was great.
Yeah. And what's awesome is
I think
everyone should do this with their DM, is go to them individually and talk to them. It's like, I want to do this cool thing. And the DM can be like, cool. I'll try to set it
make
up
that work.
so that, to make that happen. Because she's like, oh, I want to do this like cool...
Was it a cunning plan? Yes, obviously.
Obviously.
All of my plans were cunning plans.
And so, yeah, she wants to do this cool thing, and like, I will do my best to give you a scenario where that can happen.
And then I've completely forgotten about it by that point. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna do this other thing, and you're just like...
Somewhere along the lines, you told me you wanted to 1v1 Eva.
Yeah,
And
that was a long time before
Yeah.
then, by the way.
And I was like, cool, I'll set it up so that'll happen. And you got multiple 1v1s.
I did. I fought her 1v1 so many times, and I was a rogue, and I had no right to be doing that, and it was awesome every single
fully
time.
got 2 in. 'Cause
Okay,
in her
technically...
demi-plane, and then also in Hector's castle, is what I
Yeah, that one I did plan. I guess I planned both of them, but the demi-plane one I couldn't really plan for. You were gonna do that regardless of whether I wanted to or not.
That's true.
Which I did. I did want to.
You wanted the 1v1. That was the
I love that
evil
I
villainous.
almost died.
Yes.
Like, I was not almost dead after the first 1v1. But I still was stupid enough to go do it again. In the castle.
It was the evil villainous, like, alright, you want a 1v1? You're gonna be on her turf, gated in.
And I was like,
no
alright.
friends. It's gonna be super shitty for you. The second 1v1 was much more on fair terms of, alright, she doesn't know why that you're here.
I got her
or
head
you are.
stuck in a staircase.
Yeah, got her head stuck in a staircase.
It was
started shooting her.
awesome.
It was very silly.
And then I also, pettily, before the fight, made her best friend turn against her. So it was also a little bit of psychological warfare, I would say. It was very effective.
That's true.
Because I got her friend to protect me and then she died, which was awkward, but whatever, I would have had to kill her anyway. That was a great day. That was a great day for everyone. So because I got really nervous while I was doing it, and then I rolled really well. But then you tried to, like, have her see that it was me, and I gave you the stupid,
Yeah,
the divination roll.
She wanted to, like, insight check you. I think you gave her, like, a 2.
I gave her a 6.
Yeah, you gave her a 6, and I'm like,
she doesn't know it's me. I'm in disguise. My disguise was so shitty, which was the best part.
yeah.
Like, I didn't even try.
Like, I have a dress on. That's my disguise.
Yeah, you can't tell it's me.
Put on some makeup.
But Celine didn't wear dresses.
That's true. I think you put on some, like, makeup to turn your skin gray.
I was gold.
Gold, yes.
Yes,
You were
because
an
Cedric
ass
and I
about it.
matched.
Yes.
Obviously.
Fabulous.
Even when we're in disguise, you still wanted to be married.
Of course. And it made sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because I got to be like, alright, I'm going to drop some lore for my next campaign that none of you guys will find relevant.
Except me.
Except for you. Of like, alright, we're going to be like dukes from this like fiefdom over here and like fully just building bullshit.
Listen, I mean, you say that I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this. I'm pretty sure he was seduced by me, just saying.
I mean, one thing led to another, and you seduced each other.
I guess that's probably the fairest way to put it. Still.
From day one, he was trying to get with you, but just not,
not in
a long
any
term
effective
sense.
manner.
No,
Also,
that's true. That's true. He wanted to be romantically involved, but not in a long-term relationship.
He wanted to bang.
He wanted to bang.
And I was like, absolutely not. You insulted me, and you thought that was a come on.
Mm-hmm. Little did she know, it was.
It actually was. No, I disagree with that. I do think that if he hadn't met me in my room during the heist and effectively foresaw what I was doing, I wouldn't have been interested.
Yeah.
That was what got me interested. I was very interested in that. Because no one had ever done that before. And I was like, damn it, I hate him though.
He saw through my plan.
I know. That was the worst. Okay. We should probably stop talking now.
Yep.
And go eat dinner. So if anyone has any last minute questions or whatever, we should probably go eat food because we need to do that. I probably think we won't rate. I think we'll just end. So next week, maybe we will. I'll have to talk with Noelle about this more. But Noelle came to me with the idea of doing like a double Final Fantasy XIV stream.
Ooh.
And I was gonna play Final Fantasy XIV next week anyways because it's the last option on the poll. So maybe Junibug and I will play Final Fantasy XIV together. This is fun, even for someone who's clueless. Oh, good. Well, that's what we are here for. It's really just telling a story. Oh, is she streaming right now?
She is.
Oh, wait. Well, I did just raid her last night, so I probably shouldn't raid her again.
Double raid.
Double raid. I thought she wasn't streaming till tomorrow. That's okay. So we might do that next week, and then maybe we'll get back to Valhalla or something, and for the other stream, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I don't know yet. It's gonna depend on how we're feeling. So, thank you guys for coming tonight. We love doing this. It's super fun. Maybe we'll actually get back to writing shit down, and you'll hear the entire vampire story again. In a few weeks.
Definitely.
Maybe. Okay. Talk to you guys. See you next week.
See
but
everyone later.
Streams will go back to Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Also, so I'll see you on Tuesday. Sounds good. Goodbye.
See ya.